Hello, everyone. Welcome to the January 14th, 2016 meeting of the Litchfield Mosquito Control District. I'm Chairman John Latcher. To my left is Acting Vice Chairman Al Raccio. I'd like to thank Anthony DeMambro for doing our broadcast tonight. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair will call the roll. Acting Vice Chairman Al Raccio.
Present.
And I'm here. All members are present. Public input. Is there any members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing and hearing none. Just a word on public input. If you have any questions or concerns, you can come down here and talk to us about that. Our meetings are usually on the third Thursday of the month at 7 o'clock here at Town Hall. Today's meeting is a week earlier than usual. So usually we meet on the third week of the month on a Thursday at 7 o'clock. All right. Approval of the minutes of September 17th, 2015. Has each member read the minutes?
I have read the minutes, and they tend to reflect our September meeting.
Okay.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? The ayes have it. Motion passes. Okay. Next on the agenda is invoice number 1060, number 5891, and number 5892. Those invoices have been paid. Those are the last invoices for the year 2015. So that contract is now closed. Any questions on that, Al?
Not that one, but the new one, yes. Get to it.
Which one? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The current 2016
Okay.
proposed contract.
Okay. Okay, next is the final New Hampshire Ebovirus test results for the 2015 mosquito season. And that was week 39 from September 27th, 2015 to October 3rd, 2015. For the year, there was, for animals, there was 6 numbers tested, 1 tested for West Nile virus, and none tested for Triple E. As far as mosquito batches are concerned, 3,678 batches were tested, 3 tested positive for West Nile virus, and 2 tested positive for Triple E.
Mr. Chairman, that's not the Litchfield statistics.
No,
is
I was
it?
just going to mention
Right.
that. I was just going to
That's
mention.
state
Right.
statistics.
I was just going to mention that, yeah. Now I'll break it down to
Yep.
the towns where it came up. Manchester tested positive for West Nile virus on September 9th, 2015. East Kingston tested positive for West Nile virus on September 10th, 2015. Keene tested positive for West Nile virus on September 11th, 2015. Newton tested positive for Triple E on September 17th, 2015. And Candia tested positive for Triple E on September 29th, 2015. And as far as animals are concerned, the town of Holderness tested positive for West Nile virus on September 17th, 2015. Are there any questions? Al, do you have any questions on it?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, permit for the 2016 season. The first sheet, Al, is just a description of the criteria, which they always send us every year, pretty much. As far as the permit is concerned, for this year, was signed by me, the chairman, on December 11th, 2015. And you can find that on the last page. Any questions on that?
So if we look at the previous permits, I don't see any significant updates or changes over the pending upcoming year as well as the previous 6 years.
Right.
So I would have had some questions regarding, based on our history, our long history now, why aren't we starting to tailor this to what the statistics are showing us?
Mm-hmm.
As well as, is there any incentives to minimizing the permit in order to continue to tailor for Litchfield as opposed to the first years of our conduct when we had to go with, because we didn't know.
Right.
So while there's no changes,
Right.
in essence,
Yeah.
this is good and this is bad. No changes aren't optimizing the knowledge base for the past history that we've collected.
Mhm.
And then again, no changes in government bureaucracy is a good thing too, because they look at this and they say, oh, same as last year, rubber stamp it,
Right.
right?
Right.
But the questions maybe in upcoming sessions, we continue to ask, why no changes, given what we've done? What works, what doesn't work, and why aren't we tailoring?
And if you want a more detailed answer for that, Al, I can request for Mr. Morrison to come in the February meeting to discuss that with us.
It's only observations.
Okay. Okay. Next is the town report. The town report is due on January 29th, Friday, January 29th. I started some of it, some ideas that I thought of. Obviously, it's not a final draft or anything, but how do you want to go about doing that, Al, as far as finalizing that?
Our required turn-in date is the 29th, and
Yes.
today's the 14th.
Yeah.
So we
get a little
have,
over 2 weeks. 2 weeks and a day, actually, if you want to get technical with it.
I haven't given it much thought, John. I don't know, I have to think on it for a little bit, if I
All right.
give some thought to
Yeah,
it.
if you
I
wanna
don't
have
want to answer off the cuff.
You want to have some input or whatever on it, that's fine.
You said or January 29th, right?
January 29th, yeah. And she said,
It's due to Deb, right?
yeah.
Or the town
it's-
manager. Is
actually
it going to be edited and
It's getting,
revised?
it's going, it was supposed to be to the attention of Donna Burrell.
Okay. Do it to Donna.
Yeah.
Great.
Last is, well, not last, but chairman comments is next, but do you have anything to add before that, Al, or?
If we're going to go into other business, no, I'll conduct it other business.
All right, so
Chairman, go ahead.
you're just gonna go ahead with the, okay.
Yep.
All right, great. All right. As you know, we haven't met for a few months anyway. September 17th was our last meeting, actually. The reason for that was quite clear, with work. Obviously, we have people out sick at work and holidays and everything else to go with it. And the days are getting longer, like everybody else's. And so we missed a few meetings that were scheduled, maybe three meetings that were scheduled. And there's usually not many meetings scheduled around this time of the year. So, I was just wondering, I mentioned before, many months ago, when we had 3 members, when Dave Tate was here, I mentioned a slight adjustment to the Mosquito District calendar and times. At that time, I guess the rest of the members felt that they didn't want to go ahead and do that. One thing that I really would like to change, if possible, if you're in agreement with it, Al, is I would like to move the time from 7 to 7:30. Believe it or not, that extra half hour makes a big
No
difference.
objections to moving
Okay,
our start and stop times, Chairman.
okay. So as of now, you want to start at 7:30 after this meeting, or do you
Are
want to
you
start kind of
make that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that a motion, yeah. I'll make a motion that we start our meetings from this point on. The meetings after our meeting today on January 14th, 2016, to 7:30 PM instead of 7 PM. You want a second?
Second the motion?
Second. All in favor, and any discussion?
No, sir, no discussion. Motion self-explanatory.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the ayes have it, motion passes 2-0-0.
7:30 it is.
Great. Now, I also mentioned about maybe possibly tweaking the schedule a little bit, the calendar for next year. I don't know what your view, I know what your views were then. Are they still that
And
same
they still
now?
are. I have no, I see no significant reason with the amount of work that this board is capable of doing when it is a full board, that we should be reducing our monthly meetings to accommodate just the seasonal work or just during the mosquito season.
Mhm.
There's too many things. Our charter would need to be amended, our public education awareness. I did a site survey of the town of 3 areas that we have talked about for the past 4 years.
Is that over one by Campbell
That's
High
over
School?
by the schools,
Yeah.
it's by Campbell, it's the swales by the horse farm,
Right.
and over by Redonis.
Mhm.
And absolutely nothing has been done against those recommendations. Absolutely nothing. So when we talk about reducing our time, we're then neglecting and ignoring our obligations to the town charter and the people who put us here to begin with. So no, I'm dead set against not meeting. We need to focus on getting another member and getting this board back in shape.
Right.
Because we are desperately not serving the community the way they put us here. Either we get it in shape or we turn it all over back to the town, we dissolve the committee proper, and we let the health officer and the Board of Selectmen try and manage what we're supposed to do. So, you can bring the motion up, but as long as we're a 2-member board, John,
Right.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I'm a little emotional about this because even after all these years, I still believe what we do is a service to the town.
I do too. I do.
But I believe we're not being funded correctly. I believe we're not being taken seriously. And if that's the case, the people only need to say yay or nay. And I'll leave it there, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Next thing that we have to do is chairman elections again. Do you want to wait we're going to have to play it the kind of the same way that we played it when Dave left? Or do you want to wait for a third member? How do you want to go about doing
No,
that?
I believe we need to wait for a third member.
Okay.
And either we're going to get a third member before the 2016 season
Right.
comes to earnest, or I'll be making a motion and going to town deliberative to dissolve the committee. Because then the town will have told us, no, there's nobody else in town willing to give an hour a month
Right.
to support this activity.
I could put something on the cable again if you want. Do you want to do that?
You know, I'm going to bring up a number of things in other
Okay.
business.
All right.
That is one of them.
Okay.
We need whatever budget we have for advertising, we need to get the word out to the town, we need help.
Right.
And it's not
By any means, right.
a major commitment in time. So Mr. Tate has served.
Yeah.
Joan has served,
Valerie,
right? Valerie has served.
John Poulos.
John, can't say enough about how much work John did,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
And yet here, you and I, from start to finish, are still the only ones with a commitment to the cause.
Right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, get off the couch. I hope your resolution for the year was to contribute more to your community and come help us. Because 2 people in a 3-person board and a 5-person proxy board doesn't cut the mustard.
What you just said, Al, is true with a lot of committees in town. I mean, the planning board has been looking for extra alternate members for the longest time that I can think of.
Right, but even extra alternate members, sir,
Right.
they have.
Yeah, they have at
Do
least
they have
5
a
or so.
selectman liaison as part of their board?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, imagine that, a selectman
Yeah.
that actually sits on the board. I did when I was a selectman. And yet, if we had a selectman representative on our board, we wouldn't be in this position.
We could have
wouldn't we?
3, that's right, because he could be a voting member.
So, Mr.
right?
Chairman, why don't you arrange for a quote-unquote official Mosquito Control District meeting with the Board of Selectmen, and on their agenda, put specifically to request a selectman liaison?
Yeah, because
Right.
there's a selectman liaison for the Conservation
Right,
Commission.
and at the appropriate time, when we get another full-time member, that selectman may opt then to be
An alternate.
an alternate,
Right.
or at his leisure.
Yeah.
But it will not cripple the board.
Right. Okay. All right, next that I have is, my term expires in March of 2016. So,
Wow.
yeah,
We need a third member,
so we need a third member. Right,
absolutely.
obviously, yeah. Just so you know about that.
No, I do know, sir, I
Okay,
track that.
yeah. Big brother is watching.
Well, right.
Right. Okay. What else are you doing? Oh, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
All right, and, just like you said, I think we both have been committed to it for the last 9 years. As far as, obviously year to year, things change as far as, like last year was a very light year as far as mosquito control. I mean, they've seen results unprecedented, for last year. But I think we're doing a good job right now, and I think we still can continue to do a good job. We just have to, pick up our bootstraps and Keep fighting the fight.
Well, we have until March
Right,
to press that through.
right. And that's all I have, Al. Any other business?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. In our September 17th meeting, we had a number of discussions, as captured in the minutes, regarding the budget process and the budget reviews. In that meeting, I was requested to validate some of the statements that I made regarding the review of the board's activities against those budgets, and how the board would always review those budgets and then come to a unanimous decision and then submit to the town for consideration. Whether that be when we go all the way back to the first 4 years of our existence, where we submitted directly to the Board of Selectmen, and then formally to the town administrator's position.
Right.
I was able to recover a number of minutes throughout the past 9 years
Okay.
in the September timeframes that actually documents those discussions and review process,
Okay.
hence my original comments in
Wait.
September of,
Yeah. What are the dates that you have?
the exact dates I will email you, and you can research those minutes
But
as
you
well.
But you don't have all of them, right?
I don't have all of them.
Okay,
Of the records that I have
okay,
over the 9 years, there are plenty of examples that you can reference.
okay.
So I just want to clarify that point in the statements that were made in the September meeting, right?
Yeah.
We've got plenty of evidence of that. Also, we covered a little bit earlier, the permit process. 9 years, we haven't changed or updated, right? We already talked about that, and as we go forward in this upcoming year, maybe we look at that in preparations for next year.
Okay.
Because if the permits are signed, we don't want to disrupt that,
Right,
right?
yeah, because
And,
that's been,
and that's all, that's just
that's been
another
the
action.
status quo,
Right.
right, yeah,
Consistent with our charter,
right,
right?
yeah.
The summary from the final report that Mike sent basically shows a number of trends. One of the things that we need to do now, as we approach our 10th year upcoming, is a little statistical work
Okay,
on these numbers in order to validate our budget requests and our contract.
compare them to other years?
Exactly.
Okay,
So we know in our upcoming year whether our contract needs to be bolstered with additional service
I wonder if we can,
or reduced.
I wonder if we
right?
can get that from municipal. I wonder if they can
We
possibly.
don't
cut that.
want to get that from municipal. We want to do that as an independent assessment,
Okay,
right? That would be like having the
Yeah.
fox guard the
Right,
hen house.
right. I know.
And I could hear a number of questions from the Board of Selectmen.
yeah.
What's the justification, the rationale, let
Right.
alone the Budget Committee, right, and anybody
Okay.
else? But
Yeah.
So, as we approach our 10th year, we need a statistical baseline. That also feeds directly into the cauldron mapping.
Right.
And whether we're adding or taking away, and then what new cauldrons have been added to the system, and are we treating those? Have those maps been updated and fed forward to Michael?
Not that I know of.
So, once again, when we talk about things to do in the off-season, these are things that continue to show net worth of our committee and making these recommendations. The last thing was, of course, we did the site surveys. Again, 4 years, there's been zero response from the road department. or, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna isolate the
The
road
thing-
department.
I just-
There's been zero response from our request to have those areas updated by the town
Okay,
and its administration,
all right.
not,
All
right?
All right, yeah, because I was just gonna say that we, at the beginning, the first few years when we had access to the computer, that's when we were able to do that, right, correct?
Well.
Some of that.
Some
Some of
of that communication and follow-up
Right,
and tracking.
Yeah.
Was attributed to that.
Right.
Now we're, yeah, so I'm not gonna go
well,
back to
I'm
the
just saying
computer, yeah.
that, I'm just saying that initially, that's part of the way that we use the computer for.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Right,
Where are you gonna run,
so if
right
we.
now, statistical analysis would have to be done on your machine or my
Right.
machine at home.
Right, so,
And
so,
Just not gonna-
so if I understand you correctly, that somebody from the town would have to do that.
right,
Would just send the recommendation to them to do it, right?
that's all we can do now.
Right.
I don't see any computers in here, or,
No.
and I'm
Right.
not gonna go down that rat hole again.
Right,
But then we would be asking someone to perform maybe it's Mr. Lynch and as our representative.
right,
Perform a statistical analysis of the past 10 years of what effectiveness are we having in order to justify the budget that we're asking for. Or, I'm sorry, the budget that we would propose that will get filtered through the administrator, then filtered through the Board of Selectmen,
wonder-
and then the Budget Committee, and finally the
I
people.
wonder if,
Right.
I wonder if one of us can possibly go to the Conservation Commission and ask them if there has been any changes in vernon pools or anything that they've noticed over the last few years.
Well, that's another good point. If the vernal pools, if they are cyclic in nature, and they're in a 7 to 10 year rotation, or whatever that science is,
Right.
I am not in that
Right,
field.
right.
But if they are cyclic, then we should be treating and updating our control plans to address
Go
that.
somewhere else, yeah.
Right.
Right,
And I know Mike and Mr. Morrison and the company has said time and time again, we need to stick because we're part of a national survey. It's time to understand, do we need to revise that based on our statistics? And if so, we're paying the bills, not the federal government. We need to make those recommendations. We can't make those recommendations without statistical analysis. And that's another thing that we can do in the off seasons that we're not doing, right? So those were the highlights I wanted to discuss in other business. We've brushed on them. We have some major actions, as I see it now. A third member, a meeting with the Board of Selectmen to request a selectman liaison, and advertising. And I don't mean putting it on the cable network. We can do that. We should do that. We will do that. I'm talking about getting it into the HLN, getting it into some publications, so that, geez, if we were advertising for a road agent or a health officer, we would be spending all kinds of money.
right.
Granted, this isn't of that magnitude,
Right,
and
Yeah.
and you know, we're passionate because we've done this for 9, almost 10 years. But it's time to re-educate our town administration, or there's a saying to either defecate or get off the barrel. Right?
yeah, yeah,
And
okay.
that's the point that we're at, right? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, in front of us today, this isn't a new piece of furniture. Well, it actually is. Technically, it is a new piece of furniture. It's a, this is actually a professional bat box that the Mosquito Control District purchased in April or May of 2015. We're expecting it to go up in the spring of this year. Still trying to find a great location for it to go to. It holds around 350 bats. It's pretty much maintenance-free. It will last over 20 years, this bat box. Doesn't have to be painted or anything, because it's on the outside, it's all plastic. On the inside, it's professionally made. All the slats underneath there are all measured to a certain width, where the bats will come into, and hopefully it will be by the end of spring, early summer, where it might be inhabited. We hope. It goes on a 16-foot pole, and it goes obviously a few feet into the ground, but it's going to stand at least 16 feet in the air. It can't go on trees because there are other birds and stuff like that would actually try to go into it, squirrels, etc. And if you put it on a tree, it won't. No bats will go into it. But we purchased the bat box with the intent for mosquito control. Obviously, it's not going to kill every mosquito in town. Maybe it will. It's big enough, but another reason why we purchased it is for conservation. We have worked, as you know, Al, with conservation many times at the beginning, and we still work with conservation as far as the mosquito control district is concerned. Do you have any? Yeah,
so that's an interesting point. Over the years, I've had the privilege of working with Joan, and through the planning board, we would interface. Through the board of selectmen, we would interface, and like we said earlier, Joan sat this committee, I think, for like 3 years.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking, John, is we simply give the box to the Conservation Committee. They have, and they do, construction work.
Okay.
They've put fences up, they've put poles up, they've put all kinds of things around their conservation land.
Yeah.
Additionally, Joan has a strong background with the Mosquito Control District. She sat the commission for 3 years, representing the conservation.
Just to give Joan some credit on this, is Joan mentioned this to us, actually a smaller version, actually, for the kids at school to try to build. She mentioned that a bat box would be a good idea, so we got this for Joan too.
Yeah, no,
it was a great idea.
Right, it was a great idea.
Yeah.
It still is a great.
Yeah.
It serves multiple functions:
yeah.
conservation and mosquito control.
Right.
So the Mosquito Control District has spent part of its budget.
Yeah.
We have the acquisition. I'd like to make a motion to present this to the Conservation Commission for their utilization and for them to basically identify a location and we'll provide the materials. We said we had the pole from the building or from the road department.
Yeah.
We'll provide the rest of the material and let them pick and erect it.
Sounds good. I'll second that.
Great.
Any discussion? No? All in favor?
We just had it.
All in
I
favor?
think that would,
Aye.
yeah.
Motion
That would
passed.
provide an ideal location. It won't intrude on the conservation land or protected areas.
Right.
And it will give them the final say in where and how it's installed, so we're not treading on their wetlands or
It's got to be installed in certain.
we don't want to step on any turtles or.
Yeah,
right?
it has to be installed pretty close to where water is, and it has to be in a lot of sunlight too as well, because this has to stay in a certain temperature for the bats to go into.
And so the Conservation Committee also deals in the wetlands, right? So they know all of this information better than we do.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's, and it's all in the town's best interest, so.
Yeah, this is professionally made. It was made in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So.
And I'm curious where the mounting
There's
You know, unless they're
Yeah.
picking up these bolt patterns for mounting.
There's some mounting strips that go here on each side, and then the pole attaches.
Got it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome job.
Very good. Okay, yeah, we're showing the people at home some of the good things that we do here. And this is good for conservation as well as mosquito control. so.
0, 0.
Okay, Al, do you have anything else before we close?
No.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
So motioned.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us tonight.
And Happy New Year from the Mosquito
Yeah.
Control District.
Yes. Join us on our next meeting on February 18th. Thank
At
you.
7:30 PM.
At 7:30 PM. Thank you. Have a good night.
18.